Thank you, Father, for joining us this evening.
Oh, my absolute pleasure. Thank you.
You know, it's really interesting. I have a message, first of all, Father. There is a woman, Esther, in Hawaii, who follows Catholicism Life on Twitter. And wanted to make sure that you knew that your eggplant recipe is absolutely delicious, and she enjoys having her family enjoy that recipe in her home. So that was a message.
Thank you for that. I mean, I used to dislike eggplant immensely as a child, so if her family's eating eggplant, her kids are doing a lot better than I ever did when I was a kid.
Well, and I think that really brings us to, what is this mission, Grace Before Meals? I mean, you know, I'm looking at this book, and I just was paging through the many recipes, but there certainly is a mission behind this book called Grace Before Meals. Well, what inspired you to start this mission, Grace Before Meals?
Well, Grace Before Meals is truly a mission. It's a movement that started after September the 11th, 2001. You see, I was supposed to go to France on a pilgrimage to Lourdes with some priest friends, but after the terrorist attacks, we couldn't go anywhere, so instead, me and a few other priests, we went on a retreat, and on this retreat, I did all the cooking, and simply because I don't like to do dishes, and secondly, because I love to cook. So after this whole thing, one of my priest friends said it would be great to videotape you, and you could talk about faith, food, and culture, and we could really kind of encourage Catholic faith through our feast days. And I honestly told him that I thought it was a very silly idea until a producer at one of my parishes got wind of it, and he thought that it was fantastic. And over several years, we developed this concept, and now it has become an international movement, really, to strengthen family relationships through a sacred act called a family meal, which is very similar to what Christ does when he invites his family around the Eucharistic table.
Right, and I think that's where I believe that we sometimes in our fast food culture, our mentality, I mean, it's certainly something that we're missing out on, isn't it, Father Leo? That the whole reality of families, it's getting to the point where it's becoming a rarity when families can have a meal together because of our stress-filled busy schedule.
You're right, and I do think that the fast food mentality is dangerous. Now, please do not think, and I don't want your viewers to think that I'm completely against fast food, because frankly, I can't lie. I enjoy some of the fast food some of the time, all things in moderation. But the fast food mentality says this, that I am too busy to spend time with my family. I am too busy to care about what my family eats. I'm too busy to care about, preparing something out of love for them. And when we develop too fast food a mentality for our domestic church, which is our family, then the same thing is going to happen for our universal family. We're not going to have time for Mass. We're not going to have time for the Eucharist. We're not going to have time for church on Sunday. We're now in our second edition with the printing of this book, and we're actually in the pre-production work for our second book, God willing, coming out in late fall or maybe early next year. That's called Spicing Up Married Life.
Wow.
And it's the same concept of our first book, Recipes for Family Life, which wants to provide bite-sizable theology around not just liturgical feast days, but even making secular experiences a blessed opportunity. And so what we're trying to do with the bite-sized essays and the questions to engage dinner conversations is to remind people that Grace Before Meals isn't limited to a 15-second prayer that you say before you eat, but it's really the experience of sharing a moment, passing on a tradition, and making sure we celebrate feast days, especially in our Catholic Church, as we're so known only for our fasting days.
Right.
I don't think people realize that we have more feast days than fast days, and I have heard nothing but really positive things from so many families. There was one mother who emailed me, and she said, "This is not an easy thing you are asking me to do, to make sure that I eat with my family." But she emailed me and said, "It is absolutely a necessary thing I have to do." So it simply reminded her to make sure that she's doing this. And then there was another mother who emailed me, and she said, "Father Leo, not only are your recipes delicious, And she was talking about the vodka sauce meatballs that I have T-shirts in Advent. She said, the best part is I did not have to wait for a holiday. We created one.
There you go.
Oh, great.
I learned to develop a love for food when I studied at the Pontifical North American College in Vatican City. I was far away from home. You couldn't really do much in the city because Italy is rather expensive. And so really the only thing I could do to satisfy my craving for community and also to have fun was to have a meal with my brother seminarians. And so my family taught me how to do that because we ate every day. And when I moved to the seminary in Rome, we made sure that we stayed connected with my close friends by eating a regular meal. And so, yes, my family background, my friends from the North American College, all of that has an influence in this ministry because that's how Jesus operated.
Right.
Jesus really taught some of his deepest lessons around food.
It's so true, and we often forget the simple things like that. You know, if speaking of the priesthood in the Pontifical North American College that you attended in Rome, if there's any men out there that are listening and perhaps contemplating or thinking about the priesthood, and maybe they're sitting on the fence, what would you tell them, Father Leo?
Well, I work in a seminary now. I'm the director of pastoral field education at Mount St. Mary's Seminary, which is the second oldest seminary in the United States, and thank God, I think we're the second largest. We're going to be next year 160 plus guys, and that's a fantastic thing. And I give the same advice to them who are not only in discernment, but the men who want to consider discernment, and that is simply this: pray, pray, pray. Because the prayer is going to teach men, first of all, how to listen to God, how to be at peace with God's calling for you, and then also how to help you with the struggles with the vocation, because the fact is the priesthood, although a beautiful life, can also be rather challenging. In the same way marriage is a beautiful vocation, but it's also challenging, and the only way you get through it really is if you pray, especially with your spouse.
Exactly.
Which is why Grace Before Meals is encouraging families to pray together, and to make sure that when they pray together that they leave room for God at their dinner table. And that's what I tell the guys, is leave room for God in their lives.
We're reminded that you're going to be a speaker at next year's San Antonio Catholic Men's Conference, which is scheduled March
20th, yes.
March 20th of 2010. We're looking forward to having you be a guest at that conference, a speaker, and to visit the city of St. Anthony, San Antonio. You are often invited.
You do a lot. That is a big part of your ministry, as I understand, is speaking at conferences throughout the United States, if not beyond the United States.
Yeah, that is correct. I keep a rather busy schedule, and I think that's what keeps me out of trouble to a degree. I'm at the seminary as a full-time professor and as a director of the pastoral formation program there. But on the weekends, since I am not committed to a particular parish, my Archbishop O'Brien, gave me permission to go ahead and to evangelize in either the spoken word, which is through the conferences, and I lead a lot of retreats, or through the web shows and through the new media. And because of the new media, there have been people from around the world who have asked me to come and get to know, the mission more personally, because nothing can replace the personal experience. And so, going back to the mission of Grace Before Meals, there's actually a web program that allows you to have a virtual dinner with somebody. Kind of a weird thing, where they would actually connect you to other people who eat alone, and you can have a conversation while you're having dinner. I mean, it's a very weird thing, but even that strange opportunity reminds us that a personal experience is absolutely necessary, which is why you can pray all you want at home, but if you don't have a personal relationship with your church or a relationship with your priest, who you call father, then maybe there's an imbalance in that relationship, and maybe we need to kind of look at that, which is part of the talk that I will give to the men at the men's conference in San Antonio next year, which I, too, am looking forward to doing.
Father Leo, God bless you, and we definitely will be praying for you, especially next week when you speak with this Food Network, and hope it's going to be God's holy will that it will bear much fruit.
Well, thank you, and God bless you.